Welcome to the Derby Week edition of the Friday show. We're brought to you by the Jockey Club, the Grayson Jockey Club Research Foundation. Save the date. August 3rd is the new date for the Jockey Club Roundtable. It's usually on a Sunday. This is on a Thursday. It's the day before the Hall of Fame inductions at Saratoga Springs, and it's a Whitney weekend at Saratoga. So it's there's no better way to start off the week than going to the Jockey Club Roundtable. I'm Ray Paulick, joined by Joe Nevills, bloodstock editor of the Paulick Report. And like I said, it's Derby Week. We usually drop the show on Friday, but Friday is Oaks Day, so we're going to drop this a little early. So if you're confused that you're seeing the Friday show on Thursday, it's okay. Earlier this week, Joe, I went to the Derby Trainers Dinner put on by the Kentucky Thoroughbred Association. I have been for a few years, COVID and everything. What a blast.
How'd that go? How'd that work out for you?
It was really fun. A lot of the trainers were there. Of course, 3 of the trainers have 40% of the field: Brad Cox, Steve Asmussen, and Todd Pletcher. But it was some of the other trainers that were kind of hits. Keith DeSormo telling all the other trainers, "You're all running for second." He's very confident with Confidence Game.
I see what you did there.
I guess the highlight were the 2 Japanese trainers, especially Derma Sotogatke's trainer, Hidetake Otanashe, who came up, and he was a little unsteady on his feet. There's a large group that came up, and they asked the first question. The translator said, "I'm sorry, he's jet-lagged and a little bit drunk." So welcome to Kentucky, Mr. Otanashe. Your horse is a real contender. This horse looks legit, and we'll see how he does. The trainer's got a few days to get over jet lag and have some hot coffee.
Listen, the Kentucky Derby, they've turned that into a week-long party. I mean, they have 5-0 Tuesday now. I think they've called Wednesday Champions Day. You have Thurby, you have Oaks Day, Derby Day. I don't know what we're calling the Sunday after, probably Hangover Day, but it's a long celebration. So if it starts a little early, so be it. He's just getting in the spirit.
So, over the years, this is the 149th Derby. I'm sure they've got big plans for next year for the 150th Derby celebration. They have perfected the Derby. I mean, they've changed a lot of things around. They've built up Churchill Downs with basically luxury suites everywhere to monetize it. And, they've got the new starting gate. There's the big board went up a few years ago. So there's really nothing that they can do to make the Kentucky Derby better. Is that right, Joe?
I'm going to disagree with you.
Oh, really?
I have some ideas. I hope the folks at Churchill Downs who watch every week, I'm certain, have their pens and papers out, because I've got some free ideas for you. This is how you're going to fix
These are free?
Derby. These are free ideas, okay. Free of charge. You're welcome. That's, call me. We can talk about, the monetary details later. But for now, this is just my gift to you on the week of your biggest race.
Well, it's funny. I've got a couple thoughts too. So, but why don't you lead us off? What can Churchill Downs do to make this wonderful, world famous race even better?
So first off, they've killed the draw. I remember not too long ago when they would have random draw of the connections. You pick your horse, they choose the horse, and then they choose their gate. It's strategy. It adds so much drama to the Derby draw besides watching 2 guys, just one pulls a paper, one pulls a pill, someone puts a sign up. No, there's strategy. That was fun. I enjoyed that. And the Derby and the Kentucky Derby has done a great job building up sort of the quote unquote regular season with the points races, making all of these points matter, making it easy to track. And they're so close to having the perfect Kentucky Derby draw. They need to do this. They need to have the Kentucky post position order be drawn by number of points earned. Top point earner picks their spot in the gate first. Second point earner gets to go second. And then the 20th spot, they get the last spot. They're probably going to get the 1 hole. You look at any other major sport, you have a regular season. And when you do well in the regular season, you get the benefit of having a better seed in the playoff. The way the Kentucky Derby is done right now, you can have a Patriots-like season, go 17-0, win, earn all the best points, get a lousy draw, and end up in the 1 hole and all of that was probably for nothing. This gives a little bit more incentive to, run a little better, get, maybe kick on to get third instead of fourth in that Derby prep, to get a little better post position and add some flair to an exciting week.
Joe, I hate to tell you this, but this is actually something that Bob Baffert endorsed about 15 years ago when they when they did the blind draw for who got to pick first, and 1 through 20, and he thought it was ridiculous. Of course, he at the time I think had the horse with, it was before the point system, it was the horse with the most earnings in graded stakes, I think, and he endorsed that. So you're in good company, I think.
Listen, life is all about finding common ground. Okay, I'm embracing my inner Jimmy Carter here. I'm going to find the common ground between the two of us, and we will make peace.
Your inner Jimmy Carter. Wow. All right. So I had a thought a couple of years ago that Churchill Downs, they've got, like I said, they've got suites on top of suites everywhere. The one place they haven't figured out where to put a luxury suite is on top of the starting gate. And I just think that would be such a popular thing. But then someone said to me, it's going to scare the horses. So that's out.
Do we care about that though? Like you've seen the walkover where the horses have zero, personal space. Like there's no bubble there. There's a lot of people who normally wouldn't be close to horses. I mean, before they remodeled the paddock, that was a mosh pit. Like, are we concerned about the personal space of the horses?
A little bit. And speaking of the walkover, when are they going to start charging $10,000 per person to walk across, around the track? They're missing out on revenue there, I think.
I mean, listen, like I said, free ideas. You guys are welcome.
So my real idea, other than, not the starting gate suite, is we've all seen jockey cams in races. And, we've seen the blimp shot, which I actually prefer. But why not put a jockey cam on every jockey in the race? And for those that are sitting at home, which is the vast majority of people, because who can afford to go to the Derby every year?
I mean,
they should be able to go to twinspires.com or FanDuel or whatever and choose the view that they want during the race. I think the technology is there. The only problem might be, there was an incident not long ago in California where a jockey cam fell off. And so if you have 5 or 6 jockey cams falling off in the race, that's probably not a good thing. But why not do this and give the fans a choice of what they want to see when they're watching the race or even watching the replay? I think that would be kind of cool.
Could you imagine how the maximum security race would have looked if you had the vantage point of some of the horses that were at the top of the stretch there?
Yeah.
We might have a very different opinion of, how things turned out, or we might have a very firm opinion of how things turned out, having that sort of vantage point.
Yeah. Or if you're a fan, you bet the race. And if your horse that you bet on is fading, you can suddenly switch cameras to another horse. Just like, how many times have you seen a guy come on with the 3 and then the 3 is fading and he starts come on with a 7? It's crazy. So, you can change cameras in the middle of a race too.
Yeah. Okay. I got another one for you. Something that I find very interesting with the Breeders' Cup is that they have sort of a tiered system of selecting the horses that get in. They have ones that are based on certain points that are earned, and then they have it based on, I think it's graded stakes earnings, and then they have a handful of spots in the gate that are decided by committee vote.
Well, don't forget about the Challenge Series winning your
Yes, of course. Yes. Thank you for the correction there. So I'm really bummed that Mandarin Hero didn't make the field. I think he would have been a very viable horse. I think I certainly would have put him above, I don't know, probably 5 horses that actually made the gate. I would be very interested to have just one spot in the Derby gate. I'm not asking for many, just one spot that is put up for either a committee vote or, if we really want to get spicy, a fan vote. Churchill Downs can figure out the logistics of that. I'm giving you free information here. I can't give you everything. And let the People's Choice horse be in there. This could be a horse that just missed the cut and would compete like Mandarin Hero, or maybe there's one that, I don't know, is a Johnny Come Lately, a good maiden winner who the committee thinks could have a chance. Like, you go back to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile that Hansen won. He wouldn't have made it by anything but the committee vote. He needed to get in on that, and he ended up winning. So sometimes you can pick a winner.
Well, think of in golf, the Ryder Cup. You have players that make it based on points, and then you have a captain's pick.
Mhm.
Whoever the captain of the team is gets to pick somebody that maybe was injured part of the year and didn't get the points needed, or came on really strong as the Ryder Cup approached and was in good form. So it's not that unusual for, and like you said, the Breeders' Cup had the racing secretaries panel to pick. I don't like the idea of the fans doing it.
You'd
I
have to
don't.
be very, very careful. You'd have to do it on like Twin Spires or something where you could keep the bots out.
I think that one of the most popular races in Japan is a race that's run, the Arima Kinen, run December 26th, and the fans vote on who should be in the field, and it's considered actually sort of a dishonor for a trainer to turn down an invitation to the race based on what the fans have voted for. So that I think there's a place for fans voting, but to fill the last stall in the Derby, I think it should be more of an expert panel.
And I could see people thinking, oh, but what about the 20th horse that got boxed out from the, getting picked? I mean, one, this horse would be eligible the same as anyone. We're not knocking out the 20th horse for the vote for some random horse. And two, have you seen the horses that tend to be the 20th horse in the gate? They usually came in here running third off of something or fourth.
Yeah.
Like, they're squeaking in for a reason. If we're switching them out for another replacement level horse, it's a bummer, but it's also a good thing for another horse that was a replacement level horse. We're not like kicking out a potential winner here.
Yeah. Well, my other suggestion, and this is a serious one. Now, I'm a dinosaur. I'm a guy that still prints out past performances.
Same right here.
Yeah, I worked for Daily Racing Form for 8 years, and those are the past performances I've grown to like. There are other ones out there, but all the past performances that you and I use, and a lot of other people use, look like hieroglyphics to young people, to people who use their phones for everything versus using a printer to print stuff out. So I have a suggestion that Churchill Downs gets serious about creating a new kind of past performance, a new kind of information app that can go on a phone and actually move people from betting one race a year. This year, FanDuel, I think DraftKings, they're going to be sending sports bettors to bet on the Kentucky Derby. And I don't know what they're going to have for information, but it would be much more likely that they're going to continue to bet on horse racing if there was some information they could use to make their bets. Just like that, there's a ton of stuff in sports that they can use. So I know that it's been tried. Equibase has tried to come up with things. I know that the Stronach Group tried to come up with some new past performances, something that doesn't look like just rows and rows of numbers.
Yeah.
And Churchill Downs is a really smart company. They have some smart people. They're phenomenally successful right now. This is the one race that gets the general public interested. And if you can just convert some of those people to become every weekend players or daily players or once a month players, not just once a year players, I think some sort of new past performances can really help do that. So it's a serious suggestion that Churchill Downs takes it upon itself to help educate new fans with data that's presented in a different way than what us dinosaurs are used to.
And I think making that clearly available to people is important too. You can have the best system in the world, but if it's not readily, immediately available in the face of every new person that comes through to the track, what good is it? If they're still looking for the Daily Racing Form because that's what people tell them to look for, you have this great technology, you have this great program, and no one's going to use it.
All right, Joe, I've got a feeling you got one more.
I have one more. While you were talking there, I was actually looking on my phone. Sorry. I was looking at the weather forecast for Saturday's Kentucky Derby. 69 degrees with a 53% chance of rain. If you've looked at the Kentucky Derby weather forecasts over the past decade or so since I've been covering it, it rains a lot on the Kentucky Derby. I think we've had more rainy derbies than not since I've been out there. I watched the race from on the track. I'm tired of getting rained on. That's what I'm getting at here. I'm tired of getting rained on for the Derby, getting my suit wet, having to take it to the dry cleaners. Churchill Downs has built up every inch of that property to get seats in there, to get every dollar they can out of every square foot. Let's make the experience more palatable for everyone there and put Churchill Downs under a dome. Perfect weather every single time. Churchill Downs has the capital to do this. We'll have a fast and firm track every single time. We don't have to worry about mud. We don't have to worry about people getting wet. We don't have to worry about, getting water in our drinks. We're going to build it. We're going to call it my old Kentucky Dome. And this is how we're going to change the Kentucky Derby going forward.
So the sun shines bright on my old Kentucky Dome. How does that work? Because
I think the sun gets blocked by my old Kentucky Dome. It's going to have to be the lyric now.
And are you going to grow the turf course the way that you grow something in your basement with lights and things like that?
I mean, it can be retractable.
That's how you came up with this idea.
Not so much. No. We're talking about it can listen. If we're talking pie in the sky here, it can be retractable. I mean, they still have to grow the grass. We saw that they did the special grass for the Super Bowl this year at the Arizona field, and that didn't go so great. But we have the best turf scientists on this. If we're going to build a dome, if we're going totally hypothetical, we might as well have the best people doing it. So we'll figure out a way. There will be ways. Build the dome.
It's maybe it's something they can do. Maybe how about if you just do like the Texas Stadium, like you just do it all the way around, covering the tracks, but not the infield, because who cares about the people in the infield getting wet? They actually probably would prefer the mud out there, right?
That's true, and they're paying the least to be there. So
yeah. All right. There's a million picks out there for the Kentucky Derby, but yours, Joe, is the most important one. Who do you like in Saturday's Kentucky Derby?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. As of the time that we are recording this, I don't have a pick yet, but I'm going to use that as an opportunity to say, look for my Haiku handicapper picks coming out Thursday for the Kentucky Oaks and Friday for the Kentucky Derby on the Paulick Report. We'll be sharing that via email, via social media. I'll be trumpeting it from every rooftop that I can. This is my annual analysis, my annual 17-syllable analysis of the Kentucky Derby, horse by horse, and you will get my pick there.
Derma Sotogake is almost one line by himself, isn't it?
You need one more syllable to get a middle one.
Okay. All right. Well, I like Skinner. He's the last one to get in right now. And that reminds me a little bit of Rich Strike last year. Was the last one to get in.
That's true.
Now, I know that people have poo-pooed that a horse that can't finish at 1.8 miles, there's no way he's going to finish better at 1.25 miles. I think he's going to be ridden differently in the Kentucky Derby than he was in the Santa Anita Derby, where he made, he started his move pretty early and he ended up going quite wide all the way around the turn. He just couldn't sustain it. Those top two horses are good horses.
Yeah.
Juan Hernandez is the new jockey. John Sheriff's at the Derby Trainers Dinner had some interesting advice for Juan. He talked to Mike Smith about his win on Giacomo for Sheriff's, and the advice was, when you go into that first turn, don't worry about the other horses. Just worry about you, where you want to be, and because it can be very intimidating. And that's the advice he gave. And I think that Skinner is coming up to this race really well. He's a finisher. He's going to be a good price.
That's true.
I've been wrong before, more often than not, in fact. But we'll have to wait and see on Saturday. That's going to do it for the Friday show. We really appreciate sponsorship from the Jockey Club and the Grayson Jockey Club Foundation, which does phenomenal research for the health and welfare of horses, not just thoroughbreds, but all breeds. And they're an organization that is well worth your support. So thanks again to them, and happy Derby to everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Support award-winning independent horse industry journalism and become a Paulick Report insider on Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, insiders get access to exclusive Q&As with Paulick Report staff.
insight behind our editorial process, exclusive opinions and on-site analysis, Paulick Report merch, and more. This is not a paywall. The website you know and love will always be the same. But if you want more, and you want to make our coverage even better, visit patreon.com/Paulick Report and become a Paulick Report insider today.